It's that time of year again when the only Game of the Year video that matters has arrived. Why is this one important? Because it's voted for by you. I haven't got anything to do with it, it's all on you guys. All three of my nominations got less than 1% of the votes, which tells you everything you need to know about my tastes. No wonder the channel's not growing, but let it grow, subscribe, okay? Anyways, without further ado, without the faff, it's all about your top 15 games of the year. We're going in reverse order because that's how it works. At number 15, we've got our first of quite a few RPGs, and it's one I'm not going to be able to play until about 15 years down the line when I finally catch up with the series. The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie is the culmination of the Crossbell and Cold Steel arcs within the grander Legend of Heroes series. It's the peak of a decade's worth of narrative building, and it's at 15, so either most people are in my position as to not wanting to play it just yet, or maybe it didn't live up to the amazing narrative previously, but I'm gonna go with the former. It's a huge series that everyone should play from the beginning. It's just a huge time investment. At number 14, we've got Bayonetta Origins, which is a spin-off of the Bayonetta series. Is it bad I kind of forgot about this one? This came and went for me. I mean, I like the Bayonetta series, but for some reason this one never appealed to me. Maybe I'm not the target audience. It's definitely a huge departure in gameplay style, controlling two characters at once. There are environmental puzzle elements as you use the giant demon cat to your advantage. It's actually a bit sad that this is only one player. At number 13, we've got the best rhythm game ever made. That's not Rock Band 3. Theatrhythm Final Bar Line. This is it, guys, the pinnacle. You are never going to get better than this. Hundreds of songs from the best music ever made. Obviously the gameplay is a little bit niche, so I'm really happy you guys listened to my pleas and seem to have purchased this and mildly agree with me. It certainly needs to be considered for lists like this, and I'll be surprised if it pops up anywhere else. At number 12, a viral hit to end all viral hits, Vampire Survivors. I've never played it. I'm so hip that if there's anything viral happening, I immediately stick fingers in my ears and pretend I can't hear the incessant cries to make me play it. I'm sure it's good, but my job is to bring to light lesser known titles, preferably with anime babes in it. Anyways, it's super cheap and super accessible. It's worth a try, and who knows, it might end up being your game of the year too. At number 11, Master Detective Archives Rain Code. Bit of a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting this to make an appearance, but it's a pleasant surprise, I should say. Currently a Nintendo Switch exclusive and published by Spike Chunsoft and made by veterans of the Danganronpa series. This adventure detective game isn't considered as good as Danganronpa, but it is pretty close, at least that's the opinion that I've seen. There is a lot of promise for a new franchise, and hopefully it was a sales success and brings some nice sequels. At number 10, Dredge, a highly rated indie gem that's been a bit of a sleeper hit on the Nintendo Switch and other consoles. It's a mix of a fishing game and horror, which has sold it to you instantly, right? You go out, you catch fish, but also pick up supernatural relics that enhance your powers as well as add to the mystery of the story. Definitely one to experience. For physical copies, this is actually not the easiest to get a hold of. It's almost always instantly out of stock the moment they get more in. Speaking of which, if you want to purchase any of the games in this video physically, check the links below. You can purchase the majority of these games since most are physical as well, and that helps support us. VGP is a great website with cheap, favorable Canadian money. Also have free worldwide shipping over 80 Canadian dollars, which is like 60 US dollars. And you can also have a chance of winning a $10 discount coupon each week, which I announced in Monday's video. So thank you for your support. At number 9, Atelier Ryza 3, another JRPG, and this is one in a series I'm very familiar with, having reviewed the majority of them, but due to lack of time, I didn't review this one. A big miss, I know. I was a huge fan of Ryza 1 and 2, and I have no doubt this is just as good. Even if it's just like half as good, it's still gotta be a winner, right? I do highly recommend if you want to start with the Atelier game series, either start with Atelier Marie, which is a genteel introduction to the game's concept, or Atelier Ryza 1. It's a brilliant game. At number 8, Hogwarts Legacy, only just released on the Switch, having released earlier this year on more powerful consoles. but it's quickly made an impression on the Switch, and it seems the 7-month wait was worth it. It's pretty much the game of dreams for old school Potter fans, and it's something I will be playing one day when I find the time. I heard the Switch version is actually surprisingly good. Obviously, a lot of the visuals have been cut, but it works well overall. Just a pity the physical version requires such a huge download. At number 7, Fire Emblem Engage. Yes, this did release in 2023. Nintendo just shorted it out in January when nobody buys anything. And yet, culturally, I don't think this made much of an impact compared to the likes of Fire Emblem Three Houses and also Awakening, which are tentpole releases in the series. This was more of a Shadows of Valentia type of impact, but I think a lot of old school fans appreciate this one a lot more. It's a bit more focused, more on the gameplay rather than the window dressing. Also, the release date, that didn't help. I talked with a colleague of mine a few weeks ago, and despite him being a casual fan of the series, he didn't even know this game existed. He bought it immediately after I told him, and he enjoys it. I just think it needed more of a push at a better time of the year. But still, at number 7, good going. At number 6, Pikmin 4, a bit of a sleeper hit. Literally no one really talked about it when it released. It's a niche franchise overall, but I think this is a game with legs. I think people will be picking this one up for years to come as they reworked the viewpoint slightly, which may have divided a few people. But not Japan. Sales for this game are genuinely insane in that country. It's one of the biggest selling games of the year, whereas over here we're just kind of like, cool. But it's clear fans are passionate, and if you haven't picked it up yet, well, do yourself a favor and do so. It's a highly unique experience. At number 5, another JRPG, Star Ocean: The Second Story R. Perhaps one of the more contentious games in this list. Should it be considered a game of the year if it's from 1998? Well, it seems like a complete and full remake, so I will allow it. And of course, it was super popular, with it being the best chance for people to play this game. It takes place 20 years after the events of the first game, which the Switch also has, and JRPG fans will definitely want this in their collection. At number 4, Octopath Traveler II, another JRPG. Who'd have thought SwitchWatch viewers like JRPGs? Anyways, this is the sequel to a very early JRPG on the Switch, many people of which lauded it, but retrospectively thought it was highly flawed, especially in the narrative structure. However, I am reliably told that Octopath Traveler 2 pretty much perfected the product. Narratively, it's separate from the first, so can be played by itself, and you will want to, as it's an absolutely amazing experience from start to finish. If the first game was experimental, the second game is Game of the Year. Well, almost. Number 4, not too bad. But it's not the last JRPG on this list, because number 3, Sea of Stars. Technically not a JRPG because it wasn't made in Japan, but it's an honorary JRPG in the fact that it's bloody fantastic. This is inspired by the likes of Chrono Trigger, and they nailed the feeling of sitting in front of your CRT with the Super Nintendo on during the summer holidays. This is a large, plot-driven game with attention to detail like no other. Well, okay, maybe it's not perfect, but it's still damn amazing that something like this can be made today. Great combat, nice characters, beautiful vistas, it's pretty much got it all. Physically, this is out in Japan already in a lovely mini collector's edition, but the Western physical is coming out next year sometime. At number 2, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This is the latest 2D Mario game, just when you thought Nintendo might give up on this genre after allowing everyone to make their own games with Super Mario Maker, but no, they still found the endless ingenuity to make this a genuine Switch classic. Now you're in the Flower Kingdom and getting all trippy with the Wonder Flower. I've only just started to play this because I bought it for my daughter for Christmas, and yeah, that was a cheeky little gift knowing that I could play it myself actually. And yeah, we've got to the second world so far, and we are very much enjoying it. I think this is one hell of a bang to go out on the Switch with, and you know, whenever the Switch 2 launches, hopefully next year, the next 3D Mario game will be ready to go. But this is a fine send-off in my opinion. At number 1, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I think we could all see this coming. The sequel to the best Nintendo Switch game was obviously going to be Game of the Year. Now that time has settled down since release earlier this year, I've seen plenty of people say that actually, all things considered, they liked Breath of the Wild more, and this feels more like an expansion pass rather than something new and mind-blowing, industry-shifting, you know what I mean? But there's no doubt that this is still an excellent game in its own right. Like, pretend Breath of the Wild doesn't exist, and this is also one of the best games ever. And there's a reason it was, like, by far and away, with more than double the votes of Mario, this is your game of the year. And there we have it. Do you agree with your own list? What other games would you have liked to have seen here? If you want to purchase any of them, please consider using the links below. It's a great way to support us. And yeah, it doesn't need to be the exact game. Like, if you want to buy, I don't know, a Peppa Pig game, you can just click any link below, search for it, buy it, and we'll still get a kickback. Plus, check out my other channel, A Bit More Jordan, for a lot more me. If you like JRPGs, you will like that channel a lot. Go check it out.